Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is Engineer Masood Akhtar Kini, and today we have the technical session number 7070. Our subject is corrosion on the metal surface. Before going ahead, I would like to request you to subscribe the video and including like it, share it, and press the bell icon. Uh, so corrosion is a very bad for the steel materials. We can say this is the cancer for the steel materials is attack on the all the steel materials which are open or even it is not open to the atmosphere direct to the sun. This process takes place and it deteriorates the thickness of the products, either it is trusses or steel plates or whatsoever it is. It will affect on the surface, deteriorated, some powder will come. So it reduces the thickness of the. If the thickness of the products is less, then the technical sessions of the products, the technical testing or the physical testing, it will affect the parameters. It cannot be complied by that process once the thickness is less. So all the physical properties are going to change in the less grade. So let us to discuss what is the corrosion. Corrosion is a natural process that converts a refined metal into a more chemical stable from such as oxide, hydroxide, carbonate, or sulfite. It is a gradual destruction of material, usually a metal, by chemical and the electromechanical reaction with their environment. So this is very clear. So if the product is exposed or if it is under the ground and whatsoever, it is the chemical reaction will takes place, and in the result of chemical reaction, all of this uh, changes will come on the physical properties. If the physical properties changes will come, definitely it will be the effect on the durability of the products. So there are mainly some types of the major types of the corrosion. Uh, we can say the corrosion, uniform corrosion. Uniform corrosion is considered a evenly attacks across the surface of the material, and the most common types is the corrosion. Pitting corrosion, crevice corrosion, in, intergranular corrosion, stress corrosion, cracking, galvanizing corrosion, galvanic corrosion, and what is the conclusion for that one? Erosion corrosion and the occur when a corrosive fluid runs past of the metal surface. Intragranular corrosion, plating corrosion, cavities corrosion, and the alloying selective leaching, exfoliation corrosion. These are the main types of corrosion. Even then, there are subclasses of the corrosion also: galvanic corrosion to metal corrosion, creative corrosion, pitting also, intragranular, selective corrosion, corrosion correspondence, stress corrosion, and cracking. The is the corrosion is a rusting? This is a question from some of our colleagues. Corrosion includes rust, is a type of corrosion. Corrosion is a process in which certain metals and the non-metals deteriorate as a result of oxidation. Rusting is a oxidation of iron in the presence of air and atmosphere. And definitely the after corrosion, the size and the measurements of the material and the product is going to less, and it, as we discussed, it is affected on the physical properties and the durability of the products. Same metal surface are oxidized uh, damaging entire surface. Most metals are easily oxidized, and then the lose electrons to oxygen and the other substances in the air and in the water. As oxygen is reduced, gain electrons, it forms a oxide with the metal, and definitely its causes of the deterioration is start. So, what is the Korean reaction? Korean is a warning. Korean is a wearing away the due to the chemical reaction, mainly oxidation, reduction the oxide. It's also whenever the gas or the liquid chemical attack on the exposed surface, often a metal, and the accelerated by warm atmosphere, and then acids and the salts also, which are contaminated by any way, either under the ground or it is on the atmosphere. Wind contamination from where it is got is mostly it is under the ground. Does the aluminum corrode? So aluminum is a type of corrosion wearing away the metal, but it's put simply aluminum does not have the rest, but it does corrode. Although there are often used interchangeably, there are a fundamental difference, some hypotheses. The metal and if the contact with the oxygen, the oxides layer will be the corroded. It can be prevent the corrosion. Aluminum is not a corrosion product, but it's some accessories like some uh, fixing bolts, screws, and this thing washers, and whatsoever the neighboring accessories. It can be corroded, but it's a process that everything should be uh, either pickle and passivation, or it is should be galvanized, and it is the stainless steel Korean rated 316 self protection whatsoever. So Korean is a natural process in which the refined metal is converted to a more chemically stable form, and such oxides, sulfides, and the gradual decomposition of material. Usually, the material as a result of chemical and the electromechanical reaction with their surrounding and the atmosphere or under the grounds. What so called the Korean layer takes place when the exposed surface upper layer of the metal gets corroded, then the inner surface of the metal gets exposed, and the corrosion continues up to a certain depth. So, what is the corrosion of the ships? Corrosion on the it is the major hazards for the ships. The degradation of this structure causes higher maintenance costs, early system failure when the overall shortens service life. Corrosion is a natural process where uh, a result reduces metallic elements as to the original status of the materials which was exposed. How the ships are protected. Electrical bonding is recommended as well. The method including tying all the underwater metals together with the wires in the bonding strips to bring them in the same potential. This prevents the currents from the causing of the corrosion. How to prevent the corrosion? Protective corrosion, a fresh coat of the paint will enhance the appearance of the structure and prevent the corrosion. Plate fitting, theoretically, plate is mostly painting corrosion, mechanical sacrificial coating, corrosion inhibitors used, environmental measures used, modifying the design and whatsoever. So, how we can protect the ship body, which is underneath? There is a frame, it is always touching to the ground. So, this is monitoring according to the local regulation of the any country. There is some procedure that this will then it will be the treated for the uh, repair purpose. There are special coating for that frame also, which are touching to the ground and also exposed to the weathering areas also. These are also special coating. It's some coatings are stay up to 5 years, some are up to 10 years. It's very expensive product. So this coating will to avoid the deterioration of the products direct from the Korean process. It is not permanent life and not the long life, but it will be up to a certain time, certain limit of the time frame, which is 5 years, 6 years, whatever it is, according to the manufacturer and the recommendation of the products. So every every repair takes place periodically, as the master statement and the regulation what says. Some when the ships are barged in some places, immediately the painting is start, coating is start. There is some procedure, blasting, sandblasting, and the conditioning and humidity controlled atmosphere, and the painting is done. So this epoxy coating application, it will stay for a certain period, whatever the required. So similarly, the open air also, if some products are there, either it is galvanized or something protection from the corrosion is also there. So if there is a regulation for the country, any country, and people will not follow the regulation, they will not protect this metal or material from the corrosion, definitely it will be going to the disaster. Once the disaster will come, and already the material is deteriorated and it is going to the substandard, uh, not to comply with the required parameters. So definitely some disaster will come and there will be some loss for the assets and these things. So this was the briefing about the Korean, and Korean. I would like to suggest everybody who is listening, if they are belong to the construction industry, either quality or safety or whatever it is, execution, they should get the certification of the Korean, and at least they should be aware of the what's the measure to be taken, even for the personal houses and the buildings, and uh, use the technical skill as a more professional. So this was the briefing about the Korean, and we will see each other in the next subject with another products. Thank you very much and have a nice day.